Hello, fellow potheads. Today I'm going to make a shepherd's pie. The recipe comes from pressurecookingtoday.com, although I modified it a little bit because I want to make it simple. I'm going to start by sauteing onions and garlic and the meat. So I turn the pot on to saute, and then I add some olive oil to the bottom. And while I wait for it to heat up, I'll chop the onions and garlic. I just start by quartering the onion and peeling off the outer layer of onion skin. And then for the garlic, I simply cut the ends off of each clove. And then I just smash the cloves with the broad side of my knife. I don't mind chopping onions and garlic. I think it's kind of fun. Now my pot is hot, so I can add this stuff to the pot and let it saute for a bit, and then I'll add the meat. I'm going to add 1 cup of water to this pot, apply some heat, and a beef bouillon cube. So that'll be ready to add when we need it. As you can see, the onions are getting glassy. The garlic is brown. I think I'm going to add the meat. I use a pound of lamb and a pound of ground beef for this recipe. I did it last time because that's what I had, and I really liked the way it tasted. So I'm going to do it again. You see the pot not that hot, so I can actually hold it. If you don't hold it, it spins around. I know that some people use clips to keep the pot in place, but I think I can just hold it with my fingers. The recipe doesn't call for broccoli, but I'm adding it because we had it in the refrigerator. So my wife said, well, can you use broccoli? And I was like, I don't know, why not? Let's see how the meat is doing. Oh, it's getting there. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of flat leaf parsley. I don't have flat leaf parsley. I got the only parsley they had in the store. I have my measuring spoon here. Oh man, that's hardly any parsley. I think I'm gonna do 3. I think the meat is now brown enough. Okay, I read the recipe wrong. I was supposed to add the carrots and broccoli and saute that with the onions and garlic. So I didn't do that. So what I'm going to do, now that the meat is nice and brown, is I'm going to put it in this separate dish. And then I'm going to saute the broccoli and carrots separately. Oh, the broccoli's a nice dark green. The carrots are a bright orange. It's been sauteing for a good 10 minutes. I think it's ready. I'm going to add the meat back into the pot. Add the beef stock. I'm going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste, a teaspoon at a time. That's about right. I'm going to grind in some salt and some pepper. Now I'm just going to mix it all up. I'm worried about that broccoli. I lock the lid on. I make sure my pressure valve is closed. I select pressure cook for 3 minutes. Then while the pot is coming up to pressure, I'm going to peel potatoes and get ready for the next step. Our pressure cooking is done. Now I'm going to release the pressure. Well, it looks good so far. I have 3 tablespoons of cold water in this pot. And here's my cornstarch. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons to the water and mix it together. Okay, now the cornstarch is mixed in with the water. I'm going to add that to the mixture. Throw in 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley and saute. The whole idea here is that the cornstarch in cold water will thicken. We'll see how that goes. I think it's starting to thicken. The recipe calls for some frozen vegetables. I think it was 8 ounces. I have 16 ounces here of mixed vegetables, no added salt. So I'm going to throw in half the bag. Ooh, gives it a nice color. I take this lovely fluted casserole dish, spray it with some vegetable oil, and then add my mixture to the casserole. Oh, you can see it's looking pretty tasty. And I don't think the broccoli is gonna be a problem. I think the broccoli is pretty much cooked in there. The next phase of this easy dinner is to make the topping for the shepherd's pie, which is basically mashed potatoes with some cheese. Because my wife is lactose intolerant, I'm gonna use goat cheese. The recipe calls for shredded cheese, but I think goat cheese adds a nice flavor. Yeah, it's a little spendy, but what are you gonna do? So, I'm just going to add a couple of cups of water to the Instant Pot and put in the steamer basket and quarter the potatoes. The recipe calls for 2 pounds of potatoes. These 5 potatoes are close to 2 pounds, I think. Now I lock the lid in place. Select pressure cook for 5 minutes. Make sure the valve is closed and let it do its thing. Now the potatoes are done, I can remove the lid. I have a bowl to put the potatoes in, and I'm just going to grab the steamer basket. Oops. I've drained the excess water from the potatoes, and now I'm going to add the ingredients. A 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to mash them. Could have used a bigger bowl. I'm going to grind in some pepper and add some salt and the goat cheese. And the recipe calls for 2 cups of cheese. The goat cheese is kind of intense, so I may settle for 1 cup. I'll do a taste test. More cheese. Oh, that's good. The next phase of this adventure is to spread the mashed potatoes on top of the meat and vegetables. A nice even layer. If you go to pressurecookingtoday.com and look at the recipe there, the person who made this used one of those squeeze tube thingies so she could get nice looking, I don't know what you call them, frilly looking mashed potatoes. I'm just gonna use my trusty old rubber spatula and do the best I can. What they recommend is that you put it in a 375-degree oven for 30 minutes to brown the potatoes. Lori and I are going to Wisconsin tomorrow to visit some friends, so I think I'm going to refrigerate this and bring it down there and have it for dinner tomorrow night. I'll let you know how it goes. How was the shepherd's pie?
Awesome!